retired Colonel Cedric Leighton. He's the former NSA Director of Training, and he can help us sort through the weekend's revelations. Mr. Colonel Leighton, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Rolf?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us on short notice. So I want to briefly describe what your job was.
Well, I was the Director of Training for NSA, the Deputy Director for Training, and what that meant was I got to oversee the training of NSA personnel both on the civilian side and on the military side. So I'm very aware of the types of things that NSA does, and of course I spent 26 years in the Air Force, and a lot of that was associated with NSA in various jobs.
Okay. Now, so right off the top, I want to ask you, government officials have basically said that this snooping is limited. Now, Ed Snowden was very clear that, and he said, quote, the NSA has built an infrastructure that allows it to intercept almost everything. With this capability, the vast majority of human communications are automatically ingested. He continues, if I wanted to see your emails or your wife's phone, all I have to do is use intercepts. I can get your emails, passwords, phone records, credit cards. What's the truth?
Well, technically, that is possible, that you can at least get certain what they call communication externals. So things like, if it's a radio transmission, it would be the radio frequency. If it's a telephone call, it's the phone number, it's the duration of the call, things of that nature. But what they cannot get is the exact name of the person who's talking, or any even indication of that name, unless they have a specific warrant to do that. That would be in addition to the technical capability and the granting of a broad power to gather data, metadata, to get all of the ancillary pieces if they need them. So basically what NSA is doing is they're approaching this somewhat from a vacuum cleaner perspective. In other words, get all the data that we can, and then if we need it, then we can go in and do what we need to do. But they are not going into the internals of the communication, which means they're not listening in on the calls unless they have probable cause.
Okay.
So it's very similar to what you see in a law enforcement type situation.
So there's obviously some disagreement here. So can you say categorically that no American is ever snooped on in their emails? There's literally zero capability for an NSA analyst to, at his workstation, go in and look at this information unless he has a warrant. That categorically, that never happens?
Let's put it this way. You can never say never because there's the technical capability there, but it would be illegal to do that. So without a warrant, no NSA employee can go in and go after the communications of what are known as U.S. persons. So that means American citizens, it means resident aliens, it means U.S. corporations. So that's what that means. They can do it if they have a warrant. They can also do it if there is probable cause to believe that that American is involved with a foreign terrorist, as an example, but then they have to go back and get a warrant once they've established that that connection, and that's generally how it works.
If you said it would be illegal if they did do any of that, what check? I mean, what lawyers? Who would be able to see it? Who would be able to verify that it happened?
Well, there are technical ways
to bring a case that said the NSA is doing certain illegal things.
Right. What would happen? Well, let's take it this way. If you're in a, let's say you do this, you're an NSA employee and you illegally get into U.S. communications, what they can do is they can go back through the records, through the electronic records of the system, and what they're talking about here is the PRISM system that's been talked about in the press. They can go through the electronic records and determine who picked up the data, what they did with it, how long they looked at it, and those parameters. So that would be enough to build at least the initial stages of a case against an employee. That employee would immediately be terminated and they would lose their clearance, which means, in essence, they lose their livelihood.